Hello, my name is Michael Lambert, and today I want to talk a little bit about Nigel Farage because I think he's somebody we should all be very, very concerned about. I think he's a really, really bad influence on British politics, and it could be very, very damaging in the future. As you'll know, yesterday he announced that he's taking over leadership of the Reform Party for at least 5 years, and that he is going to stand in the general election for the constituency of Clacton-on-Sea, where he could well get elected. I think quite possibly his plan is that he gets into Parliament and maybe one or two other Reform MPs as well, and that he will then do some deal with what's left of the Tory party, the right wing of it at any rate, and he'll form some sort of extreme right wing opposition. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that goes. But you have to wonder when you look at his big contribution to British politics is Brexit, and it's undoubtedly the biggest act of self-harm we've ever committed, and has done so much damage, and so many of our problems are directly linked to Brexit, and we can see economically and socially we are on a downward trajectory, and it seems very difficult, if not impossible, to see how we might ever turn that around, unless we decide to try to work back towards rejoin the EU. Obviously, a lot of people completely disagree with that. But you have to wonder when Brexit has really destroyed the careers and reputations of David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. It absolutely ruined their reputations, and is probably going to ruin the reputation of Keir Starmer as well in due course. You have to wonder how Farage has come out unscathed. How it is he's still the darling of the ignorati. How he's so popular. And I think it's this. I think he keeps away from any policies. He's not interested in health or education or transport or defence or taxation and things like that. Don't interest him at all. All he's interested in is, well, frankly, all he's interested is himself and his own popularity and being in the limelight. And he's found a very easy way of doing this, as many political rulers over the years have done, and that is you just find minorities and attack them incessantly, and whip up hatred, whip up resentment and prejudice. He did it with the whole of the EU by telling us endlessly ad nauseum that the EU was such a bad influence, and it was damaging our economy, and that we'd be so much better. They were telling us what to do and so on. And all the people who really were not very interested in politics went along with all this and believed it all, and ended up with Brexit. And then after that, when Brexit clearly wasn't working out, and I think he admits himself that it's been a failure, but of course he blames the Tories, not Brexit itself. But he then decided, well, in order to try and keep in the public eye and focus public attention on victimising some other minority, he went for the boat people, and he was forever down on the beach in Dover, pointing out how these little boats were arriving. And now, of course, he's found that Muslims have become a good target. So he's getting everyone to focus their attention on Muslims and blaming them for everything that's going wrong. It's all the Muslims. The fact they say Allahu Akbar after they win an election or whatever. And it's really sinister, and this is what many other politicians of the past have done. Not least the Jews have experienced being victims in similar circumstances, and I think it's quite worrying as to how far this might go. If you get enough people, I mean, who knows how big his movement might grow if he just keeps banging on about how the Muslims are causing all our problems. And I think he's one of these people like Trump and like Johnson. He has the gift of the gab. He has quite a lot of charisma, and with Farage, I think it's this absolute certainty. There's no grey in his political life. It's all black and white. Everything is absolutely certain, and he's so he's so certain in everything he says and so positive in everything he says that I think people like that. They think that makes him a strong leader because he knows the answer. He knows the answer to everything. And he's very entertaining, as indeed is Boris Johnson, as is Trump. These people are crowd pullers. They are. Whatever they're saying, they entertain. And I think when you're in an age of, as we are now, of 24-hour news, you're in an age of social media and so on, it's quite difficult for any politician really to grab any attention. And politicians are at the centre of all our lives, really. I mean, people don't really readily accept that or realise it, but I mean, politicians decide that determines most of our lives and affects most of our lives, and so I think when you get these occasional entertainers like Trump, Johnson, and Farage, and there are very, very few others. You can't think of many who are going to pull a crowd or are going to stop you when you're walking past the television to have a look and see what they're saying, and so I think with such an irresponsible character as Farage. I mean, I think, as I said before, it's totally about him. He doesn't care about anybody. He's not a nice, empathetic, charitable sort of guy. He's just look at me, look at me, look at me. Aren't I good? And sadly, I mean, pushing on with this immigration, anti-immigrant policy, he wants to have net zero immigration. And it's so easy to convince people that it's the immigrants that are causing all the problems. It's all these foreigners here. They're coming there, taking our houses, they're taking our schools, they're taking our jobs, they're doing this, that, and the other. And you don't have to really spend an awful lot of time thinking about it to realise that we desperately need immigrants. We are going to need more and more immigrants because the population is shrinking and getting older. So there are going to be fewer and fewer people earning money to pay the taxes and look after all the old people. And at the same time, we've got so many people who are leaving the country, very often qualified people. I mentioned once before, my two sons, both in their 40s, they both emigrated for good. A friend of theirs who was a top psychiatrist in a very famous London hospital only 2 weeks ago left to go to work in Australia. And people will leave because they look upon this country as a sinking ship, because things are going so badly. We all know about all the problems. I don't have to repeat them all. And we have such shortages of so many skills. And if you just say, well, we'll solve all that because we've got some unemployed people, we'll train them up to do the jobs, it's very, very, very naive. And it is absolutely senseless. We are going to have to accept immigration into this country. We must control it. No one's ever saying you just open the borders. Of course you have to control it. But we are going to need immigrants. We need a lot of immigrants as the population continues to fall, or at least the working earning proportion of the population continues to fall. And so just having this loudmouth shouting off about how terrible immigrants are, how terrible foreigners are, how terrible Muslims are, and how we must just attack the others and everything will be fine, it is so irresponsible. It's really, and it's just for him he's having a great time. You look at him when he's giving his speeches. Look at him yesterday, having a great time. He loves it when all the press turn up. If anybody asks him questions he doesn't like, he very quickly turns tetchy. Very quickly turns quite aggressive. This is not a nice man. This man is a danger to the whole country, and I think it's a great pity that more people don't realise that. And I hope people do come to realise it, because I think we should all be worried. Anyway, that's what I think about it. If you've watched this far, thank you very much indeed, as always. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you would do so. And so until next time, thanks for watching and bye for now.